and welcome to Nelson All Over Cards. My name is Nelson, and today we're doing another Deck Factory video where we're going to be diving in, talking about a card, building a card, and today's card focus is meditation. As we go through and we're talking about this card, be thinking about how you would use meditation in your Marvel Champions deck, and make sure that you post your deck link either down and below in the video comments or in the Discord server, and that invitation link is in the video description. Let's talk about meditation. It's a zero-cost alter ego event that came to us in the Vision Hero pack, and honestly, I love this card. I think that this is such a fun card. Usually I like to pick cards for this series that don't get a ton of love, but I think this one gets a little bit more love than some of those that I've picked before, but I really like this card, so I wanted to talk about it. Here, basically what you're doing is you're trading your basic activation for cash money, right? You can only play this in Alter Ego, and it requires you to exhaust your Alter Ego, but then you can play a card from your hand, reducing its cost by 3. However, there are a couple of limitations on this card. You have to be in Alter Ego. You have to have this card in your hand. You have to have a good target for this card in your hand. It has to probably cost 3 or more, and it must be able to be played in Alter Ego. So all of those Quinn carriers of the world, unless you have Honorary Avenger on your hero, or on your Alter Ego, I guess, you can't play it. You have to not care about your basic activation or have a way to ready. But if those stars align, you can get some major payoff. So let's break down the math of the card real quick. You're basically getting +2 resources for your activation, which is about where we would like to value readies. Readies usually are around 2 effective resources ish. So if we have a 3-cost card, we play meditation, exhaust our alter ego, play a card, basically cutting its effective cost in half, right? We use the card and then meditation. That's 2 cards, that's 2 effective cost, down from the 4 effective cost that it would normally play to just play the card straight up. So that's cool. This to me feels like a type of card that you really have to be intentional when you're building your deck around it. And we can start to create our own fate here. Probably the biggest way that we can get our maximum payoff for this are allies, right? A lot of allies can be played in Alter Ego. Some of them require special traits, but if we just look at the majority of the allies in the game, we can hit allies with meditation, and we can then have an immediate impact because allies can come in and then thwart, attack, activate, do whatever. So you're getting a payoff for something that you're already playing, and then maybe you have a couple leftover cards that you can then use to put more cards on the table, more allies on the table. So I really like to target allies with this card. There are also supports and a couple of upgrades that you can play, but those are fewer and far between. But if we're running a meditation build, we're probably including at least a couple of those in the deck so that we can make our own fate and make sure that we have that 3-cost card, whether it be an ally or a support, and meditation in our hand at the right time. Now, we do have some ways that we can kind of skirt and get around the basic activation a little bit. And now, when we do this, we're kind of losing efficiency. The main thing that I'm thinking of is Ready to Rumble, right? So 1-cost upgrade. Whenever you change form, usually that is from Alter Ego to Hero form, you can discard the card and ready. The problem with Ready to Rumble is it loses a lot of the efficiency, right? We're exhausting, and then we're paying 2 effective resources, which is what we just saved with meditation. So we gained 2 resources with meditation, but then we spent 2 resources to ready back up. That can be viable though, because usually a lot of the times I'm playing Ready to Rumble not on the turn that I'm playing meditation. And so I'm like banking those resources, if that makes sense. I play Ready to Rumble, it's the card in my hand that I get to play, and then maybe 2 turns down the line when I'm in Alter Ego, I can then use meditation and I've saved those resources and I get that ready. I can flip back up, ready, and then go to town, thwart, attack, do whatever. But when I'm looking at heroes, I usually like to look at heroes that don't need or don't love their basic activation. There are a couple of them out there. That's one category. I also really like heroes that have a lot of high cost supports or upgrades in their kit that can be played in Alter Ego or that need to get built really, really quickly. So the first one that comes to mind is from the core set, and that is Iron Man. Iron Man is his hand size is directly proportional to that of the number of techs you have on the table, and so now you can run meditation and you want to be sitting in alter ego to start the game, so meditation can, maybe get that second tech of the turn out on the table when normally you wouldn't be able to do so. You get a little bit of card efficiency there, especially in multiplayer when you have a little bit more time to be sitting in alter ego while your teammates kind of take care of the fires and you can kind of build your suit at Stark Tower. That Iron Man meditation get arc reactors down real quick. Arc reactors or the Mark V armor, those get onto the table, increasing your hand size and also can get them out of your deck, thin your deck. And Iron Man likes this card a lot. Another kind of person that kind of falls in the same line is War Machine. War Machine really likes this. He has a lot of very expensive upgrades that can be played. War Machine wants to be flipping to alter ego as well. That's another thing that I kind of think about when I'm thinking about heroes that want to be running meditation, is those who already have a reason to go down to alter ego. Tony Stark thrives in alter ego. He has so many supports for alter ego. Same with War Machine. Flip down, use those munition bunkers, restock on your ammo. You want to already be coming down to alter ego, and War Machine already doesn't need his basic activation. All his events and his guns, and those do have a major impact on the game, and so we can use meditation to kind of offset the cost of his high kit. Another one that popped into my mind was Miles Morales. This one's kind of interesting. This one, when I was kind of doing the research, I'd never have thought about using Miles for meditation, but I thought it was kind of interesting with Double Life because it allows you to flip down and ready to take advantage of meditation. So now you don't have to be in alter ego, or you don't have to end your turn in alter ego to play meditation. You can use your basic activation, use Double Life. If you pay for it with that physical kicker, you get to ready. So flip down, shuffle a card back in, then you get to ready and you can meditate on another high cost card. The problem with Miles, and I wanted to mention it because I thought that was fun, but the problem with him is that he has no like good targets in his own kit. So therefore you have to, I don't know, you have to kind of pump the cost curve up pretty high with allies or supports or whatever. To make it work, but I thought it was fun. I hope to see a build around Miles because I think that one would be fun. The last one I'm going to mention before we dive into the deck build is Cyclops. Cyclops really likes to be an alter ego. He can tutor those tactic upgrades, and then he can just run a stupid amount of X-Men, and so now you can probably drop 2, maybe even 3 if you get lucky, X-Men on the table. Now, if I'm running meditation with Cyclops, a lot of the X-Men have triggering abilities if you are an X-Men or if your identity has the X-Men trait. So I like to run that alongside honorary X-Men because when we're in alter ego, that gives us the X-Men trait, and so we can still hit, we can give a tough status with Polaris, for example, when we play Polaris with meditation. I love meditation. I think it's so much fun. But the hero that I am building with today is Black Widow. I have had a ton of fun with Black Widow recently, so let's hop down to the table. Let's take a look at the deck build, and we'll see how it goes. Cool. So yeah, let's build our Black Widow deck that is focused around meditation. Now, we just outlined how meditation works, but the reason that I like this so much is Black Widow wants to be an alter ego. Natasha Romanoff, whenever she plays a prep card, gets to draw a card. So we've got built-in card cycling, card draw also in there. And Natasha can deal with things in alter ego. She has, actually, let me grab the card. I forgot to grab the specific card, but she has all of her prep cards that we can get onto the table, get ready to come up and hit that ground running when we do come up. Now, this is not a always be an alter ego deck. I feel like the majority of the time we will be an alter ego, or maybe 50% of the time in a solo build will be an alter ego. But the deck can function outside of that. But we have Covert Ops, which is one of her signature cards, which can help thwart an alter ego as well as confuse the villain and allow us to stay down. Now, meditation, we talked about some of the targets that we can have, mainly allies, high cost supports. Let's talk about what we're going to be putting in this deck. And it's going to be focused around the shield archetype. So first up, we have a Sky Destroyer, 3 cost. Whenever you play a shield card, then you get to exhaust Sky Destroyer, deal 2 damage to an enemy. What's really important here is that this is not locked to hero. You can be an alter ego and use this card, which is what we will be doing. This is our minion control. Now, if we don't have minions, we can throw the damage at the villain, but a lot of the times we're going to be confused locking the villain. And then Sky Destroyer is going to help clear those minions so that they don't scheme out on us. Sky Destroyer, a lot of damage. We got a lot of damage there. We're also bringing along the Helicarrier. Now, Helicarrier, if we're playing solo, this deck is functional in both solo and multiplayer. Helicarrier is going to be one of those resource generators, helping us drop one of the 1-cost preparation cards and getting that card draw in Natasha. We really like Helicarrier. Can also trigger Sky Destroyer. Also just that perfect 3-cost card that we're looking for. There you go. Both of these are shield supports, which means that we're going to bring along Agent 13, who is another target for meditation. Drop Agent 13, she can help thwart, and that's going to be probably what we're going to be wanting to do a lot of the times with her, is thwart and ready either Sky Destroyer if we have more shield cards in our hand, or Helicarrier if we are wanting to pay for more cards. Agent 13 comes in, as well as Dum Dum Dugan. Dum Dum is one of our late game plays. I'm not looking to drop Dum Dum first 3 turns of the game. He has very high stats, very high impact on the game, but Dum Dum is kind of our late game AD carry finisher here. We also have a couple other cards that are our shield targets for meditation. Mockingbird to help stun the enemy. If we play Mockingbird, we may be able to flip up the next turn or the following turn. Natasha has actually pretty decent survivability, so we're not 100% needing Natasha to stun, but this is a easy target for meditation, prevents a whole villain activation, as well as 2 thwarts. Actually, probably 2 villain activations once you chump with Mockingbird, but just getting that efficiency there. We are going to also look at Monica Chang, and then this is where you start to see the aspect take place. Everything I've shown you before is basic. This is where we're going to see that yellow splash. Monica comes in, perfect target for meditation in terms of cost. And then whenever she enters play, you get to go find surveillance teams and buff them up a little bit. Now, surveillance teams you can use to thwart, and now we're starting to see the thwarting in Alter Ego engine go off. We have all of our allies, we have covert ops, we have surveillance teams to help thwart. There's a couple other tricks up our sleeves, we'll get to those here in a second, but once we get these onto the table, we can either use them to thwart, trigger some of our other shield cards, or soak Dum Dum. Next up, we got Agent Coulson, which is aka Black Widow's best friend. So perfect, again, 3-cost target for meditation. After Coulson enters play, search your deck and discard pile for a prep card and add it to your hand. So if you have not already played a prep and you use meditation, or you play Coulson in Alter Ego, you can get a prep card which you can then play and trigger her, what is it even called? Mission prep ability, where you get to draw a card. So Agent Coulson, Natasha, very, very good friends here, and also really nicely costed. We got a Nick Fury. Love meditating Nick, because then we get that card draw and we get that card efficiency. We get to draw back up, and then we can flip up, use him as a blocker, and then roll right back down. Now, we got Quake. Quake is not a meditation target. She can be in a pinch. If we don't have another version for Quake, actually no, I don't meditate Quake, because you're not getting that much efficiency when you're doing that, and it may just be worth using Natasha's basic activation rather than meditating on Quake and losing that efficiency. But Quake is here again for minion control. If we're going to be in Alter Ego a lot, also shield traded, so triggers all of our shield stuff, we're going to want to keep Quake on the table for a while, and we can keep Quake out. We can have her deal damage to minions who are scheming, which then can shut down that minion scheme train, which you can run into in certain situations and scenarios that can be pretty lethal to this deck. Confuse Lock the villain. We'll talk about a little bit more how we can do that in a second. Quake is going to help with those minions. Confusing Lock, we got Dazzler, who's not a shield, but she does confuse when she comes into play. Also a really nice meditation target. Also very incredible stats. I love Dazzler. I think she's an incredible ally. For a 4-cost, you get 2 thwarts of 2, and a chump block, and a confuse. Very, very good efficiency here with Dazzler. Good ally. Good ally there. We also have Professor X, which is another meditation target. If we're going to meditate X, we want to do that when we start an Alter Ego, and then we can flip into hero form. So we can utilize Professor X's chump block as well. Now, Sky Destroyer can trigger off of a couple other of our events that we're going to be putting in here. So Global Logistics is a 3x card that we are running. Exhaust a shield card. Look at the top 4 cards of a player deck or the encounter deck. Discard any number of those and put the others back on top or bottom in any order. Just incredible efficiency card here. So if we're worried about scheming out, we can focus on the villain deck. We can Make sure that we're setting the boost icons. We can toss that Shadow of the Past that's going to be a nuisance, or we can use global logistics, and this is a fun little trick. We can use global logistics, exhaust like a surveillance team, and say we don't have a target for meditation, or we don't have a meditation. We can use our own deck, find meditation, find helicarrier, whatever we want to target with meditation, and then play a prep card and draw it. That's a really fun little combo that you can have with Natasha and global logistics. Plus, whenever you play global logistics, you get to throw 2 damage, and that's always fun. The other side to that coin is Homeland Intervention. Exhaust up to 3 shield cards, remove threat based on how many you exhaust. This is going to be a panic button for us. I think a lot of the time we're going to have a lot of thwart. So if we wanted to, we're actually running a little bit heavy on deck size. We're at like 43, I think. So we can drop these if it's not a high threat situation. What I like about these is we can exhaust 1, remove 2 threats, and deal 2 damage with Sky Destroyer. This is damage. I view this as a damage card in this deck rather than a threat mitigation. We have a lot of thwarting power. That's not the issue here. What we are going to be wanting to do, since we are in Alter Ego so much, this is Alter Ego access to damage. And so I like to run these, but if you are someone who wants to run at that efficient 40 cards, these are going to be your first cuts. So there's your Homeland Intervention. All that to be said, I really like Homeland Intervention. Really good thwart card, and throws damage once Sky Destroyer is on the table. Last target for meditation in this deck, outside of her cards with like synth suits, also you can meditate Covert Ops, which is kind of fun, is Avengers Mansion. Card draw is good. We like card draw. And then we are also going to run a Ready to Rumble based on what we were talking about earlier in the video, where if we meditate with Natasha and we exhaust, we can then use Ready to Rumble when we flip and ready. I am not really using Ready to Rumble here unless we are going for like a lethal blow. Or we're about to shuffle it back in or something, but Natasha has a decent 2/2/2 stat line, and so that can be a nice thwart or damage, but really Ready to Rumble is there in case we really need an extra burst, but this is banking that activation for later. The other option here with Ready to Rumble is if you're playing multiplayer, then if someone's bringing along like a heroic intuition for you, or maybe you find you're going up against, oops, that's not even on screen. You find that you're going up against maybe a higher thwart scenario and you run a heroic intuition in this deck or a combat training in this deck, you can swap some of these homelands for Ready to Rumble to fit into that multiplayer. And so you can stand up and ready and activate more frequently with that higher stat line. So I like Ready to Rumble. I'm running 1X in this deck, but based on player counts, you could go more if you wanted to. We're topping it off with the doubles. I almost call them triples. That would be awesome. With the doubles, and that outlines the Meditation Shield deck. Now, I haven't come up with a name with it, so I've been enjoying listening to your suggestions for names. So if you think that you have a fun name for this guy right here, let me know in the comments. And yeah, I'm pumped. This is a fun deck. Alrighty. See you back up there. Thank you so very much for hanging out. Hope you enjoyed Widow, and make sure to share your decks down in the comments or in Discord if and when you build them. I hope that you enjoyed the video. I hope you have a fantastic week, and I'll catch you around next time. Cheers. Peace.